of the grand temples in the Grand Canyon, right, got hit with holy fire, which is known as golly, what is the technical term of that? It'll come back to me, but it's some form of Greek term where fire comes from heaven and then pretty much destroys everything within its path or with where it's meant to be destroyed. We call that also the wrath of Allah. So here's something extremely interesting that I found looking at a good channel by John Levi, right? So, and also looking at it from Hollywood, since we know that her temple is now being masked by Hollywood. You got to understand, I just proved to you something here, okay? That Ham was in the Northwest. As far as Northwest you can get, it's called California today. At one time, there was Upper California, Lower California, Upper Egypt, and Lower Egypt. But I'm not, but once we understand this, and I'm showing you temples in Los Angeles. So what I'm going to show you now, please understand it shouldn't be too far a stretch of the imagination. Interesting fact about Hollywood and Ayanna, Diana, Ishtar, Isis, all the same person. The above picture is from two Hollywood first silent movies depicting the gates of Babylon, which is to the left, and Egypt, the gates, which is to the right. Very accurate depiction, wouldn't you say? I would say too damn accurate, I say. Clever deceivers, they are. If I can quote Yoda, clever deceivers, they are. So look here, man. Let's take a good look at this. You can see a representation on Hollywood Boulevard now of the one to the left. And the reason they did that is to flaunt it in your face. Now look at this. Okay, let's peel back the layer like a detective. This comes from an excerpt dealing with those particular movies and a few other things. It says one of the first epic Hollywood films by D.W. Griffin, Intolerance, below to the left, which is the Ashtar Gates, was built around, listen, and you gotta pay attention to who we're dealing with. Deceit is what these people do. So I'm gonna read again. One of the first epic Hollywood films, D.W. Griffin, Intolerance, below to the left, was built around an enormous and realistic looking Ashtar Gate. Another epic film, Cecil B. DeVille, The Ten Commandments, below to the right, used the massive Egyptian ruin lying in the California dunes for its outdoor shots. After the filming wrap, the crew apparently just dumped everything back in the sand and went home. What? Did you hear this? Are you kidding me? The devil's crafty with his language, and if you're not careful, you will miss it. Did you just hear what he said? Did you hear anywhere they said that they built that set? Did you?
No.
Did you hear anywhere where they said that they built the sets? They said, as I quote, it was below to the left was built around. What was built around? One of the first epic Hollywood films was built around. In other words, the film they used, they went somewhere and built around. They used whatever was there and built their whole understanding of the film around an enormous and realistic Ishtar Gate. Now, go do your research. Oh, that's a coincidence, Mr. Bay. Find me a construction photo. Mr. Smart Pants. Find me one of the one to the right. Since these are super Hollywood people, and all of a sudden Hollywood, where you get the money from the very beginning to build such an elaborate set? When it first started, silent films, Yeah, and there ain't no construction photos. It's your first silent film. You don't have any construction photos? No pictures where y'all kicking back, blowing blunts, sipping on sippy because it's 1920s or something? Oh, okay. We supposed to be that stupid though.
You should have it on film at least.
Thank you, Mo. You got this on film.
And you're making history.
You making history, but you ain't going to even show us how you built that set. So let's go back and read it one more time so we can peel back the layer of this unbelievable deceiver. First, let's do a quick reset. We just went through where Ham, who is an Egyptian, and his folks, Mizraim, was the first inhabitants of America. They went to the Northwest. We are now as Northwest can get in California. This showed you where there's Ishtar temples all the way in Los Angeles. They pulled that stuff out and buried it in the book and hit the Smithsonian with it. Now they're telling us the very first pictures was built around an enormous, realistic looking Ishtar gate. Now let's go on further. Then it says the 10 Commandments used, listen to what it said. Listen to what it said. The 10 Commandments used the massive Egyptian ruins lying in California. Did it say set? Nah, my brothers and sisters.
No, he didn't.
We have been so dumped up under the truck, dumped up under ignorance and shame. It's pathetic that we walk on our own Egyptian home and can't even recognize it.
Don't even know where the hell we are. They are.
We do now. Praise Allah for Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept. Who better to tell us about what's popping here than our true Egyptian adept? Well, we come to find out that it was founded, the whole spot was founded by him, the Egyptians. Thank you, Prophet. Honors. So let's move on and read it one more time. It says, Cecil, oh, Mr. Cecil with the 10 Commandments, and Moses partnered with used the massive Egyptian ruins lying in California. Outdoor shots. Then these crafty ones go on to say, let's dig it out a little bit more. It says for more, right? Look, an organization now moves on. Look at this. An organization called the Dunes Center has been excavating the ruins for decades. For more than 90 years, the Cecil Build, the set for Cecil Build the silent film, the 10 Commandments, has been buried in shifting sands of the Guadalupe Nipamon Dunes. Archaeologists have been slowly unearthing the set for years. Why you need an archaeologist to come and unearth something that somebody supposedly built on a set? Huh?
Because they didn't build it.
That's right. And then it goes on to say, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can go read this. And then they go on to say they found huge, gigantic terracotta colored sphinxes, and it was a treasure. And it was the biggest auction they've ever had in history. Well, your biggest auction ever, you was selling off pieces of a movie set? I don't think so. And what is terracotta? What you mean terracotta? Terracotta is an ancient material beloved for its accessibility, versatility, and rich reddish-brown coloring. The oldest surviving terracotta dates back to 3000 BC, serving as a primary medium for early Bronze Age figures. In fact, terracotta is ionic. It becomes an ethymonic term, or euphonic term you'll often hear people use for the word terracotta to describe color or pottery in general. So they're digging up 3,000 plus year old terracotta, and they're gonna have a quick auction. These people done dug up our ancient gates
and stole them and probably took them to the Vatican or
and they
over to the.
used it to fool us in the first Hollywood films so that we wouldn't question, oh, that's just the set they built. But it says here they didn't build anything. It says that they built around. And the other one says they used a ruin that was lying in California. So, there you go. You can see a little bit more yourself there if you want.
I just looked it up, Grand Gulf. It is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now look at this. That's right, sister. It is. Revelations 20:10 says Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations. Deceivers creating the illusion. So they want to tell you that the Egypt over there was the real Egypt. So what did they do when you were still down south? They went and constructed an Egypt over there for you. They told you that these 1800 photos we get in the middle 1800s of Chicago were world fairs, where they got pyramids and buildings that are still there today, looking like the same ones in the picture, but they want to tell you that they built that with paper mache. Only the last few. Really? But this is Egypt. Why pyramids there? Then we got construction photos of them putting together the so-called, what is that thing out there in England that they all worship? What is that called?
Stonehenge.
Huh? Stonehenge?
Stonehenge.
Exactly. So we got them, I got them with pictures putting Stonehenge together right here in front of you. Okay. But we supposed to believe them? Go look up the expositions of the late 1800s. Why is it in every major city and you tearing down the exact same thing? And then we can go find the exact same structure, architectural structure that looks like those in other places around the world, but you told us you built that here. Yeah, no. America is ancient Egypt. We must ask the connecting question then. What were the national colors of such an old and glorious empire?
I bet it was red, black, and green.
Islam, red, black, and green. Act 4, additional laws of the more scientific of America. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag. If the prophet had to put it in the law, which means he honored it, which means there's something about that American flag that we are missing. It means that he knew something about that American flag more than we did, and in the time we would probably appeal it back. Because to put it in such a law was so that we wouldn't dishonor it in our times of ignorance too. And to let everybody else know that we don't dishonor this. The reason is because the question, what were the national colors of such an old and glorious empire? Well, there it is. Oh, glory revealed. Praise Allah for our Egyptian adept, Professor Drew. Because the original colors of Egypt were red, white, and blue.
Wow.
And if you can see a little bit more, oh, glory here in all of its glory. Excuse me, let's go back here. Right? Like the sister said, red, black, and green is sitting there under and surrounded by what would be known as the stars of heaven. So you got red, white, and blue, and the are red and white as the stripes, and then the blue representing the stars are the gods of Egypt, representing the heavenly stars. Thus, how they got the flag today, because it's always been here. It's always been a part of our ancient story, because to peel back the layers of the red, white, and blue is to see you. It's to see you in your glorious Ham and your ancient forefathers' divine national creed. It's to see that the Ham were the Hamites, to see that you built a glorious civilization that's still being honored today every time that flag goes up. You got a little bruh down here in the blue on his crown. Then they want to hit you with the red and blue on gangbang notice to divide you and conquer you a little bit, to dirty mac it some, so that you wouldn't see that you always wore these particular colors. But you know what I'm saying? They're trying to place you back into something that you played out a long time ago. I'm going to show you that in a minute. The devil's crafty in his foolery. But we see the great eagle wearing the rope, carrying the rope I told you about earlier, that was in hams, are the most ancient artifacts found in the Americas, which we have concluded were Egyptian artifacts because we can go find those same Egyptian artifacts in the royal hieroglyphics, right? That what is known as the sin. She's the falcon is carrying in the claws. The red, white, and blue of the feathers of the brother down to the right. And then there is a bird there that's always in our ancient pictures representing South America, because that bird is a South American bird. Anybody know what that bird is?
Thanks.
What birds do they have in the pirate movies?
Parrot.
Parrot.
Huh?
Parrot.
Canary.
Pirate.
That's right, they have parrots. Why? Because parrots come from South America. You got to remember, this picture back in the day is like a hieroglyphic, had to tell a lot, an expression. It was an expression of an event. It was an expression, especially when you're painting somebody of royalty, which that picture to the bottom right is. That is a royal picture of one of the royal family. He got on pearls, the red and the white and the blue, and it's on his crown, with the parrot and that incense, and his particular stance and his body language lets you know who he is. But since we've forgotten our way, I'll peel back the layer real quick. All right, so look, the red, white, and blue. Let's look at it in more detail here. So who we know is Tutankhamun, and real name is Tutankhamun, right? King Tut wears the blue crown. And you can see it in the picture to the upper right. That is known as the blue crown, okay? Which is a universal crown, one of the first crowns before things even separated. All right? So that comes from the late 18th dynasty of the reign of Tutankhamun, okay? So that represents the blue crown. Now, what we have over here to the left is the first one. To the upper left is the crown of Lower Egypt. It's the red crown. The next one over is the crown of Upper Egypt, meaning the white crown. And the one down there in the center is the blue crown also. All right. But so now we have it, right? The red crown, the white crown, the blue crown. It's now being represented as the American flag, the red, white, and blue. Oh, glory. See, the American flag bringing glory to the flag and old wisdom, as old as it gets. The reason why it's old is because you can't get no older than the first inhabitants. The reason why it's glory or has glorious attributes is because of the wisdom that came up out of Egypt that literally civilized the planet. And we're still utilizing and at wonder on. But these are your people. And next time someone talks about your flag, what you gonna do? You gonna roll with the ignorant?
Islam, I'm gonna represent.
Um,
You understand? So looking at our flag further in its many ways, this particular sister here is extremely powerful, and one of our great ancestral sisters that needs to be honored. So her
Queen
name is
Khalifa.
Turquia. Her name is Turquia Nugayama, Queen of Turkey, star and bow of heaven, known to the world as Queen Khalifa. Now, according to the royal adorning the royal colors. There she is to the left also. An interesting fact about Sister Queen Khalifa is that over the picture to the right, in her right hand, she has the Tartar bow, one of the most accurate bows in the world, at that time. We're talking about laser craft bowmanship. She is a sister who happens to come from the Amazon, her bloodline, and of royalty, right? She is at least 12 to 14 feet tall and has an army of 300. Her husband was one of the commanders of the Moroccan Empire. Well, at that time, you know what I'm saying, we would call it the Moroccan Empire. She was around in the 1400s. Remember the Moroccan empires and all that started in 711 AD when we invaded everybody. So-called.
Is that where they get the movie 300 from?
Say that again, Monk.
Is that where they stole Hollywood stole that movie 300 from?
Yeah, they do. They take a lot of our stuff. You know, they do. And this particular Tartar bow is a Tartarian bow. And they used to represent that. Tartarians was represented by the griffin. Thus, this is why you see Queen Khalifa always with two griffins. Okay, meaning Tartars, the Tartarian warriors who were the greatest warriors and some of the builders on the planet, stretching back from Tula, Mongolia, all the way to Tula, Mexico. In the 1300s, they replenished our lands, right, with mastodons and helped conquer certain areas called, these are the Asiatics. And thus brought Mo Khan, who came from ancient Tula, whose grandson was Genghis Khan. Mo Khan went west, hitting the Pacific, coming around the same pattern that ancient Ham did. Why? Because they had the charts by then, right? And they from Ham coming from the east, they come from the Pacific and came down, right? And then met the Urwaks of California, them becoming Mohawks, taking on the term Mo from Mo Khan, right? We get the term Mo or Mohican, or we get also the term Moroccan from the great Mo Khan, Mo Ra Khan, Ra coming from our ancient father, and also Ta, it been spelled Ta, right? And then the Khan coming from the ancient Khans. All right, so Queen Khalifa, the Khan Alifa, the Khan Alifa is a station. Her name is not Khalifa. Her name is Tarqiya Nugaya Mab. And it means the Queen of Turkey. It means she was the Queen of all Turkey. Star and bow of heaven. Unbelievable. Bomb. And she's adoring the royal colors, which means she was from the royal family. She got the feathers in the crown. Having a parrot, meaning she controls both Upper and Lower Egypt. So Tarmarians are Egyptians, or Tarmorians are the true Americans. Tarmorian meaning Egyptians. Today, without doubt of contradiction, they are the Moorish Americans. Okay? The Moorish Americans. And the Mexicans. And all of our brothers from the surrounding islands. And we are honored to understand this, right? We honor the American flag, Old Glory. Now that we have a better understanding that it's actually the great colors of our crown. You know what I mean? Thus you can see why a lot of people want to burn it, not get you to understand it, dirty Mac, and try to flip it, to get you to, you know, dishonor something that is rightfully yours. So they create Bloods and Crips. And they give you the two colors of the Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt at one time. And they get you to fight against one another. And then they look back and laugh. It's like they used to do back in the day. Man, we got a boo. They don't even know that they colors, both of them. Hee hee hee. But today this is going to end because just like we united back then, we unite today. You know. So we got to see that the red, white, and the blue signifies the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. There's an interesting fact to be seen here too. As we can see, anyone who wears the feathers and has a painting that lasts for so long, these people are of importance. They're of the royal family. All right, so please listen up so you can see something. All right. So I know it's getting a little long, probably get a little long, a little boring, but if you can hold on and put their mics on mute for right now, I'd appreciate it.
It's not boring, Grand Gov.
Right. So what we have here, if you can really look at it, it's also an expression. It's, you know, signs and symbols for the conscious mind. So what we have is also an expression of who we are dealing with. Not only you're dealing with royalty, but you're dealing with a Egyptian adept. How do we know that? Right, because we've always come revealing the light. You're dealing with one who reveals the light, who does not hide the light. And you can see that, right, in the way in which the prophet's stature is. He doesn't have his hand inside his coat like Napoleon or a whole bunch of pictures I've showed you before, known as the hidden hand, or covering the light. Nah. And every one of our people, if you look at it correctly, got the same hand gestures. Means the revealers of the light are the people of the light. So in honoring Prophet Juali,
isn't that what the Masons do?
well, the Masons get their understanding from ancient Egypt. And that's
I'm talking about the hand position. The hand position.
I just said that the hand position comes from ancient Egypt. I just showed you that. So how the Masons in today gonna steal something that we've been doing since time immortal? It actually means a form of worship. They flipped it in dirty matters like they do everything. That's why I put the disclaimer in there that we're not Masons, although it did start, Masonry in its true form did start in ancient Egypt. And when you get a better understanding, you can see the way in which it has been utilized in today's reality, and it's been utilized in the favor of a particular people only, and that's not what it says in their own law. All right, but that means revealer. That means somebody who reveals the light. That means somebody who's went through an adept, and as we know, the prophet went through what is known as he was an Egyptian adept student, graduated in 1916 to become an ascended master, then to become in 25 is announced his prophethood. So all of these, if you know anything about Egypt in the school system, there were certain things that you had to know, like signs, like symbols, because this is what we spoke in, they're called hieroglyphics. All right. So over here to the left, now that we're getting a better understanding that America, and especially California too, right, had a lot to play with Egypt, right, because it deals with the Northwest. We get this particular map that has circled here the Red Sea. Now, if we can put a few things together, Moses crosses the Red Sea and running from the Egyptian Pharaoh, and Judah is now Utah, or Utah is where Utah comes from, then you can pretty much see some of this stuff is even more correct than it, you know, some don't want to believe. But then again, who are we listening to when we listening? Are we listening to a person that's come to lie and deceive, which can now be easily seen from the historical record? Are we listening to what the Prophet Noble Juali has given us and doing the investigations so that we can correct and tell our own story like I started at the beginning of this? Because if we don't tell our story, they're going to lie about everything about you. So I thought here at the end of all this right now, we're ending, that this was a very good and confirming fact about Egypt being here. And I thought this hit really close to home. So I'm going to read it for you. It comes from a paper, right, from Arizona, but it goes, wonderful ethnological discovery, Egyptian temple and ceremonies in Arizona. Huh. So this remnants of a prehistoric race. Let's see what it says. It says research down in Arizona and to various other parts of the country, compared with which the Cardiff Giants is a mere tom thumb, meaning small compared to the Cardiff Giants compared to what they found. Over in Calaveras country, California, huge petrified skeletons of men are said to be quite common. Semicolon, what? Petrified? Do you know how long it takes to petrify something? First and foremost, that alone testifies to how long you've been here. Is that you've been here for so long that you petrified. Whoa, my goodness, look at this. And I say you because what we just learned and went through. And they're speaking about old things they found here in California and in Arizona. So men are said to be quite common. Also, the bones of yet a huger animal on which they used to ride. Now the mythical stories about them riding dinosaurs come through, which they used to ride, judging from the saddles as large as a dump cart, which would be comparable to a trash truck today. They were riding animals as large as trash trucks, found still strapped on their backs. Wow. We helped to dig up a thigh bone ourselves over there, 15 feet. Now I'm going to go to the left over here. It says we helped to dig a thigh bone ourselves over 15 feet long, which belongs to some antediluvian chiefs. Oh, which doubtless belongs to some antediluvian chief. Some called it an old log, but it was the shape of a thigh bone and and badly petrified. We have never known many complete stone giants to be exhumed in this vicinity, but out in the Humboldt country, one large body over 100 feet long, known as the Little Giants, has been found completely petrified. So right here where I live in Humboldt, they found a completely over 100-foot giant completely petrified.
Up in Eureka.
That's Humboldt, California. Yep. So praise Allah, everybody. That's the conclusion here. We're at the conclusion. And we can now see that the origin of the American flag, oh glory, oh, because her roots go back to the foundations of civilization in the Americas. Glory or glorious because of the level of contribution of civilization the founders of such produced. Red in relation to the royal colors of Lower Egypt, white in relation to the white crown of Upper Egypt, and the blue crown like the sky that unites us all. The red, white, and blue signifies the uniting of Upper and Lower Egypt into an empire, a world empire of the dominions of Africa. The American flag has always been a part of the great American drama throughout the ages, and now flies over us, signifying a hope of Atlantis' return, the end. So Atlantis will rise again. I hope you enjoyed that civic lesson. It's by the Prophet Juali. Right. Take a few questions before we hit let's end this whole thing. And no, it's too long. Let's take a few questions on anything. If not, we're going to move on to announcements because it's almost 5 o'clock.
Just thank you, Grand Gov, because that was amazing.
Islam Grand Gov.
Yes, sir.
Can you guys hear me?
Great lesson.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Peace and love to everybody. I just wanted to back up what you said. And I talked to you about this before. I had the opportunity to travel to the Middle East for work. I was in Saudi Arabia for like 3.5 years. So I worked with a lot of Middle Easterners from Egypt, Saudi, Kuwait, everywhere. And I remember telling the man that I was excited to be in the Holy Land. And he told me, he said, where you from is the Holy Land. Blew my mind. And I didn't think about it. I just figured, they're just like America. But when I tell you that the treatment that I received from the people over there, versus the way we're treated here, it was almost creepy because it was a extreme fascination of the so-called Black Americans. There was Nigerians, there was a lot of Africans over there that I worked with. They didn't even fool with those guys. But when it came to me, which was the only so-called African-American, the treatment was totally different. And a friend of mine's mother even told him to tell me in Arabic, she said, I don't know if he really knows this, but he needs to know that the very first man was Black. And so these people know before we even know. That's why everybody's scrambling to come over here. You know what I'm saying? It's not for no freedom. It's because they know this is the real deal and this is where everything originated. Yeah. So I just wanted to exactly back up what you were saying, that I've actually physically been able to see, how people respond to us over here. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah. And when we come back to ourselves, we understand how to deal with that and respond with it. You know what I mean? And things to this effect. So important that we tell our story, like the prophet said in the beginning. You know, and praise Allah, and much prayers to you and your family, Mo. All right, so I got that going out to.
Thank you, brother. Thank
Okay, much prayers sent to you and your wife, Mo. Anybody else that got a question or anything? If not, I want to end the video.
Islam, Grand Gov.
Islam,
Grand Gov.
hold on, Sister Aphrodite. We have
Okay.
members with their hands raised.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, sis. So Sister Bryson Bay is next, followed by Sister Presley Bay, then Sister Kenda Smith, and then Sister Aphrodite, you will be next. Islam.
Islam family. Grand Governor, I just want to say a wonderful presentation. And can I please get a copy of this presentation because my signal kept going in and out?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna post it on